If you feel stuck in chronic back pain, you're tired of medical visits, you don't want another opinion, you don't want to have surgery, but you do want to beat your chronic back pain, today's episode is for you. I'm actually going to break down the three biggest components to my chronic back pain story, what happened to me, and the three things that I used to rid myself of 5+ years of chronic back pain after my ruptured disc and degenerative disc diagnosis. Now, welcome to episode 10. I'm really excited to unpack this episode because I've never really given my true entire story of what happened to me. You know me as the guy who just creates back pain relief content. I'm someone who has been in the strength field for 13+ years professionally, and I've really dedicated my life and career now to helping people who have all levels of chronic back pain. So today I want to break down my own personal story and exactly what I did. I'm going to be breaking down really kind of the reality of my life. I was maybe 21 years old when I was given my ruptured disc diagnosis, along with having degenerative discs above that site. I don't have any kind of weird disease where my spine is aging rapidly. It wasn't in a major accident or have any kind of major injury to make sense of that kind of diagnosis, but my pain was very, very real. And my diagnosis was very, very real because I had had multiple MRIs. One of the best spine specialists in my area at the time give me that final last diagnosis to kind of confirm what people were saying. He kind of just said, hey, you know what? Fusion, maybe we don't want to go there right now, but you're looking at a fusion potentially. Primarily, it's just looking at pain management. It was terrible, right? My workouts were suffering. Ignorantly, I was still working out, lifting a lot of heavy weight, trying to push myself, thinking that if I was stronger, if I did all the exercises that I would find on social media, that I would eventually heal myself and get back to what I was wanting to do. And that was not the case. In fact, the doctor told me on the day of my diagnosis, said, hey, you're not going to be able to exercise the way you're exercising anymore. Like, it's just not going to work. And it was frustrating because I was very new out of college. I thought I was super healthy and I felt broken. A couple years of just trying to navigate chiropractors. I saw multiple types of chiropractors getting adjustments. I've had Graston done on me. My muscles were so locked up that maybe he just needed to scrape them and use some blood flow, whatever, to help bring myself out of that place. Definitely did not work. I think I went through a few sessions, few rounds of chiropractic care. That did not work. I've done traction, heavy medication from a perspective of I never went the opiate route. I was really maxing out the amount that they would say, hey, like every 4 hours you can take more. I was just peaking on that stuff. I have done hot yoga. I've done all the yoga stuff, yoga for back pain, everything for back pain that you can find on the internet. This is all while I'm getting married. I had my first child. At the time, my pain was so severe that I wasn't even able to put her in her crib. I share that story a lot because it's relatable, but it's a very real story. I wasn't able to let her jump into my arms off the couch and things like that because my back was so jacked up. My life was miserable. It was absolutely miserable. From a personal perspective, I know what it's like to be where you're at. I'm not just coming at you from a textbook education, but I want to speak from personal experience. So years of chronic back pain, testing the medical model, doing everything that I could do. I thought I had the best of the best. I did have, the people who were in the spine space or in that area where I was living were the best of the best. I remember the day that was the biggest turning point was I was scheduled to have my first rounds of steroid injections, and something inside of me, I'm a believer, I believe the Holy Spirit led me to this. He was like just saying, cancel your injection. You have not been taking responsibility for your pain, for what you should be doing, for your ability to heal yourself. This steroid injection, it will be the beginning of a very, very long road that's not going to lead you to where you want to go. From that moment on, these three things are what I started to unpack and use on myself and dig into, educate myself around, that led me to having complete control over my chronic back pain and living chronic back pain free today. Without further ado, let's jump into the three specific things, kind of understand of what I used to gain all the freedom that I have today. The first thing that was the most important thing was learning how to desensitize my internal pain alarm system. My body was just responding due to a overstimulated, overheightened central nervous system. Oftentimes when you're approaching chronic back pain, where you've been having it for years and years or 6 months or more, your brain is very much involved. Your symptoms are very much real. The pain is very much real, but all of these things are being formulated and they're being driven by the brain. Mind-body connection, the sensitivity I was experiencing so ingrained into my daily life that the number one thing that was keeping me from being able to use exercise, use movement, use these things that we're supposed to be doing to heal myself was my central nervous system's overstimulation. My number one focus at first was taking time off from the things that I was doing, treating my back pain, exercises, the yoga, the stretching for back pain, the chiropractic care, the medication. Literally took time off from everything that I was doing to desensitize myself. And I had to do that for a very specific period of time before I could actually start introducing the next level of what I was doing. Fears around what my life was going to be like. I had to address the fears of being a fitness professional and being in so much pain. Was this going to be my life forever? Was I going to be able to play with my kids? I only had one kid, now I have 2 kids. There was just so much going on from a fear perspective that had to be addressed. Face it instead of just kind of running from it and pushing it off as if I'll just white knuckle it and make it through. That was a big deal for me specifically. The third part that I incorporate into my chronic pain relief journey was understanding pain from a science perspective. It's a whole nother world to understand pain science in and of itself and how it affects the body, how it affects the mind, the symptoms that we experience. But that is something that I had to dive into to kind of put a airtight seal around this desensitizing process. Those are the 3 things specifically that I really dove all into when it comes to desensitizing my internal pain alarm system to open up opportunity for me to then begin to use the tools that you find on the internet, your PT, your chiro, whatever you might be talking to from a mechanical or movement perspective. I had to desensitize first before moving on. Hey, before we jump back in, I want to give you a free gift just for tuning in and listening to my story, understanding it more from my perspective and how I show people today how to beat chronic back pain. I've got a free guide. If you're in the gym, you're trying to exercise, you want to use strength smart, you're using exercise to bring a healing environment to your body and not a pain-provoking environment, go to fitnessforbackpain.com/pain-free training. It's a guide that I put together. You can print, you can download it, save it to your phone, whatever you do. Actually see how I would structure and put together your specific workout. I teach you how to do it so you can do it for yourself. Go to fitnessforbackpain.com/pain-free training. Let's jump back in. So the second thing I moved into, the mechanical side of pain. This is where you start hearing things like the McGill method, McKenzie method, movement is medicine. You gotta build strength, core strength, glute strength. How do you move? Your hip hinge. There's so many pieces of content on the internet that say, you have herniated disc, do this core exercise. If you have back pain, stretch your hips out. There's so much out there, it's so out of context. I had to discover, dig, and experiment on my own body and also get help around understanding how I needed to move to create a healing environment in my body. There's a big difference between you creating an environment of healing and you being in an environment that is provoking and picking the scab of your injury. I had to learn how to move. I had to understand the movements specifically for my pain profile. When I work with somebody, I go very much into detail into understanding your specific pain profile. What makes you tick? Movements that cause you pain. You have to understand what those things are, modify them, change them. Is the movement being done out of fear? Is the movement robotic? Is the movement under the belief of you have to have perfect neutral posture or neutral spine? Your glutes have to be firing at all moments of the squat or whatever it is you're trying to figure out? Or do you have true freedom with movement? Your body's not trying to protect itself. You have freedom to bend over, to twist, to extend. You should have freedom to do these things, and you have to find out why those movements are causing pain. And that's what I had to do for myself, because I had pain with twisting, I had pain with flexion, and I had pain with extension. A lot of pain all over the place. It was very frustrating, it was very confusing. I didn't fit into the mold of, oh, you just need to do the Jefferson curl and regain the ability to bend your spine. I was my own. I'll explain to you what I did with that knowledge. The third thing was building smarter strength. If you've been listening, my brand, my message for any amount of time, it's been going on for years now, you'll understand I have different pieces of this puzzle. I have the Smart Strength membership, workout community that I have built where I'm delivering workouts to someone who is in a position of post-surgery, chronic back pain. They have control over their pain. They're working their way out of pain. They have a plan they're following, but now they need a smarter strength approach. Push the envelope with their strength, see those gains, but not destroy their back in the process. That's the third step of my own journey out of pain. The Smart Strength membership didn't get me out of pain. My smarter workouts did not beat my pain. They created an airtight seal, and they also allowed me to build strength, feel good about what I was doing without hurting my back more. Working out was really the third step that I took in my own personal journey. I had control over my pain. I didn't have the chronic waking every morning. I couldn't even roll over in bed, like catching. I was propping myself up in my mattress. My mattress was sagging too much and my spine was out of whack. I was driving myself insane, literally. So third step that I did was programming, looking at how I was programming my workouts. I consider myself a strong person. I'm not a competitively strong person, but I'm a strong person for what I find value in my life. So when I was in my point of recovery, trying to get out of pain, should I be working out the way my physical body was strong enough to do? Or was it from my pain profile? You have to look at exercise from a pain perspective, not from an exercise perspective. If you were honest with yourself right now, you want to look good in the mirror, butt naked. If you're not, then I'm not sure what you're doing this for. I had to check my programming. I had to make sure my workouts were conducive to me healing, not conducive to me chasing numbers on the barbell, row, deadlift, lunge, squat, bicep curl, shoulder press, whatever. I had to stop doing that and I had to focus on progressing towards building more resilience in my body. Once I got to a certain point, I had to learn how to safely begin to poke the bear of my previous injury. I had to go test myself. I had been on this process of desensitizing my pain system, understanding what I needed to do step by step to do that. I had to learn and make sure that the movements I was doing were not out of fear and anxiety and worry and roboticness, if that's a word. And then once I gained control over that, I had to start working out again. But eventually I had to do something that used to cause pain. I had to barbell deadlift again. I had to put a barbell on my back and squat. Because if I didn't, I'm just gonna be eliminating things from my life out of fear, which is only going to cause more problems. That's a big deal. Eventually in your journey, once you have control over your chronic pain, you have to poke that bear. You have to test yourself to know whether or not you truly are healing, or are you just diluting your life? Are you removing things from your life because you're trying to be safe now? Your body's resilient. As long as you are alive, you're resilient and you can build strength and be stronger and learn to gain way more control over your chronic back pain. That's how I did it. Now, obviously, this is years and years and years of a process. There's lots of nuances to this, obviously. There's exercise choice. There are the movements that I had to correct, I had to free myself of in order for me to see healing. That's all based off of me. That's why when you're like, well, what should I do? I don't know until I know. And I don't know until I have a conversation, until we dive into your unique situation. If you feel like that's you, I'm happy to help. Best investment I ever made was hiring a coach to help me. Because we think, I can get so much on this right here about back pain. If I can get it right here, surely I can put it together and make it make sense. Some can, maybe you're like 1% of the people who can. Odds are you can't. So you're gonna spend the next 5, 6, 7, 10, 12, 24 years in pain, thinking that you're gaining control when all you're doing is diluting your life, eliminating things that you used to do because now they cause pain. So if you think you can eliminate the painful things, you're gonna feel better. If you feel stuck, get help. There's a description underneath this episode here. If you're watching on YouTube, in the description of this video. If you're on a podcast, in the show notes on this screen, it'll pop up fitnessforbackpain.com/apply. If you wanna just chat and just say, hey, can you even help me? Am I even helpable? I like to promise the results that I get students through my Accelerator Strength and Pain Relief program, but I only work with certain people because I don't know everything. But I do know that 98% of the people that I can help, and I have helped, reach out. fitnessforbackpain.com/apply. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. I hope it was valuable. I hope it kind of was a beacon of understanding, of direction. Just for watching this long, I want to give you a free gift. If you want to navigate exercise the right way, you want to look at exercise from a pain perspective, go to fitnessforbackpain.com/pain-free training. It's a free guide that I created. I give you everything that I know and I use with clients and myself to build the ideal strength training program. If you've had surgery, cleared to exercise, you want to get back in the gym, you want to do it safely, fitnessforbackpain.com/pain-free training. If you have a herniated disc, bulging disc, ruptured disc, degenerative discs, it doesn't matter. If you're cleared to exercise, you want to do it safely, go to fitnessforbackpain.com/pain-free training. The guide is yours free. Grab it, take it, use it. Love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in for my story. Hope it was valuable to you, and I will see you on the next episode.